dust. I get my rhyme on dust. Guaranteed to make it right if your night is a bust. Rhyme dust. I get my rhyme on dust. Guaranteed to make it right if your night is a bust.
Who's standing in the front yard yelling? Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the hot girls yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the dope boys yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Fuck the back page yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the front yard yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the hot girls yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the dope boys yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. All the back page yelling. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out.
I get my rhyme on dust.
Oh boy. I think this week's about to get a little spicy. Come on now. All right, then we got in it. Then we got into there. Okay, we had a little fun to start things off, to start this thing off real quick here. But what I wanted to do today was overall go through the weekly expected moves. I wanted to do this for July for the private stream for our private community over on Patreon. So note that this is something that we are trying to bring to the Patreon community because I don't think it's a bad thing, considering that I already look at stocks on Sunday evening to potentially do a live show with our private community, but that is going to be open to the public today. So if you guys had some fun this weekend, that's fantastic, but I hope that we are ready and being prepared for the week, and there's nothing like getting together with your friends and looking at some stocks and looking at some weekly expected moves to see if we can come up with some ideas before the week begins to react to. And I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do. Hey, thank you for saying that, Chris Rivera. I feel like Chris Rivera might be someone that I already know. But today I wanted to get into those weekly expected moves. If you wanted those, we are posting them to Patreon right now. So that's right, Patreon members, make sure that you are going to Patreon. Well, if I can get this dang link, because I want to put a link on there. So we are going to get a shareable link there. We are going to post those to Patreon right now. If you were wondering, the link to this stream will also be posted to Patreon with those monthly expected moves, so you can get those right. Click now. Okay, so for today, obviously, we are looking for some interesting things, and what we're overall going to go through are all the charts on the right side, right? We've already put out a YouTube video discussing what we believe could potentially be happening here, and one thing that we're really acting like could be very, very important is this area. Now, something that you will want to understand at these points where you are getting these crossings of these, and you're hearing a lot of people say bullish, bullish, bullish things, is you remember when we were talking about a crossing to the downside, a death cross, right? And what were we talking about, death cross? Hey, when that cross actually happens, it's usually a sign that you are bottoming or going to bottom in the next 30 days. Most of the time that happens. And I want you to just look where that cross happened and pull that thing straight down and just see, oh, looks like we bottomed around that time. Well, the same thing could be said in the opposite direction. Now, in the opposite direction, it is a lot more fluky to the upside. But you will notice that at times where we are trying to recorrect, we will hit that point where we cross. And what do? We end up finding a top very shortly after. So these are times where you really want to be watching and saying, okay, the times where we cross, we can be reacting down to it. That would be fantastic. So I think that's a good level to watch for the week ahead. Actually, I would say more in the month of July, maybe towards the end of July, you're really paying attention to this type of area. Why would we be paying attention to that? Because our price action suggests if you're going to get a daily pullback, that now that we have seen the next extension, we can pull back just into this zone and completely be fine to go back to the upside. And that is something that you heavily want to be aware of. If you are going to break down, you are going to have to lose this zone. If you're going to break down extremely low past this guy right over here, well, you're going to have to break down below pretty much 550. All right, let's take a little pause here because we know we're looking for a daily pullback, and I just want to take a pause to say hi to everyone in the chat who's joining us on this Sunday evening. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I really, 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 really do. All right. Nice little breath. I just spent a whole day, like I was out in the sun all day, guys. I was sunning in the sun. So, had a good weekend, and I hope you guys had the same. Thanks, bro. You too. Awesome. I'm going to call you the suspect. I don't know why. All the names have changed in YouTube. It kind of sucks. Okay, so now that we're into this video, we've kind of gotten that, hey, there's an area to pay attention to. Okay, let's watch for it, blah, blah, blah. What we need to really watch for here are when do we make the reversal signals. When we're talking about the SPY and the Qs specifically, we're going to go into all of the stocks that we do cover when we give you weekly expected moves. We're going to go over all of them today. And if you are lucky enough to actually catch this video, you are going to get weekly expected moves for free here and see the monthly expected moves, but those are going to be changing in a couple of days. Couldn't do a private stream. You guys are getting lucky. Hey, in July, this is going to be for private stream only, so make sure you join that Discord. Oh God, not one of those bros yet, but join the Patreon because that's where you'll get the weekly expected moves and see these Sunday prep videos in the future. This is very, very nice. This is very nice to us to be at the monthly expected move. But the only thing that's not nice about it is you don't have a lot of time into the end of the month. You have a day. If you ended outside of this, would this be the craziest thing possible? No. But when you look around at certain names, some crazy things have happened. Okay, let's just blip around for a second. Some crazy things have happened with Microsoft. Some crazy things have started to happen with Meta. Some crazy things have definitely happened with AMD. We could keep going down the line, and I think Amazon is just getting on its way. So we can now utilize, with the information we have, monthly and weekly expected moves, and the updated monthly moves will be nice. But if we're looking for something to turn around, one thing we would want is people to believe it's not going to turn around. We say this a lot on this channel. You can go back and look at previous videos where we made new all-time high traps, and you're going to see around this area that we potentially were making videos that said, watch for the new all-time high trap. This is why we point that stuff out. You need the reason for everyone to believe this is good. And if it is going to be good, that's perfectly fine, right? I don't short for any willy-nilly kind of reason, right? I need 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade up here. I'm not shorting this by any means. It is squeezing. A short squeeze is kind of silly to short, but this is the end of a quarter. We can see pullbacks. We're now seeing all over Twitter that everyone is saying, buy anything. Literally, I've seen like 3 different, I didn't have to look at a bunch of stuff, but I've seen like tons of posts about just buy anything. We broke to no high. There's always continuation. Anytime you hear someone say there's always, it's probably not a good idea to listen to what they're saying because always is never the case with the stock market. There's certain statistics that could probably prove that wrong. So what do we need to look for? We need to look for the signs that this is going to turn down. Well, what do we see at major tops? Well, first of all, this was a pretty major top, right? What do we get here? You had divergence on the daily. That caused a big uproar in markets, right? And then we see to the other side, we actually see divergences here on the daily scale. But look at this. They're getting violated right now. So even if the daily pulls down, should we be looking for another moment like this? Technically, no, not with this type of structure. Now you have the structure to turn down a little bit more aggressively, but you would still say this is very, very good. And what you're going to see is something like, oh, something bad happened to really convince you that it's a crash. And I'm going to look back at this video. I'm literally going to look back at this video in about, I would say, a month to a month and a half. Anytime we're like down in here. And I'm going to look, and we're going to be saying this right now. You are probably going to hear a time in the next month or two, I would say in the next month, where people are going to be calling stock market crash. It's most likely not going to crash. The most probable thing is not crash here. The most probable thing here is continuation after a pullback. Just so you are aware, put that in your notes, write it down so it's in your brain. The most likely thing to do here is see something fake, see something crazy, but it's not necessarily as bad as it seems. So the best person to be right now is going to be this guy. And he's going like this, right? Because we're at the monthly move. Then he's going to get a new monthly move. And then if we start to drop aggressively and you see that pulling back down into this area towards 585 and you see a monthly expected move there, this guy, while everyone's posting, hey, we're crashing, is going to see the 2-hour divergence, take the play, and then ride this thing up to 625, 630, 650. That's how it's going to take place. So I just wanted to put that out there. What are you looking for this to reverse down? Well, we did mention if you wanted to utilize daily expected moves for a moment, they're on my other charts. The 30-minute chart. Now, if you're taking this into perspective, we could see a quick little 30-minute divergence right here. If we wanted to, we could extend the move. So something we need to take into consideration is how would this overall extend the timeline? Keep doing what you're doing and we raise the floor or we extend the timeline. Okay, Jonna, good, you're here. I'm glad you're here. Good morning from New Zealand. What's up, New Zealand? That's awesome. Futures cranky. Bitcoin broken above 108K. Let's go. Bitcoin very consolidated, able to come down to that area. We might talk about Bitcoin at the end. But for now, if we take into consideration what is happening with futures, then it was very likely here for the futures to go make that little divert. Look how we're making it right now. We are literally making it in the futures now. So what do you think happens? You know, I'm just spreading it out to an hourly to make it more obvious. What do you think happens if this down here on the RSI starts to go wrong? What do you think happens when this starts to go wrong? Well, has it gone wrong yet? No. So if you want this to raise the floor or continue in July, you have to continue to extend this move right now, or there is another time. If you want to extend this move and remain bullish into July, then what you would want to see is this moment, if we do get a pullback and down to that weekly expected move, you would want to see a big ripping roar right here. You would want to see another big extension, because if you stop that short and roll, that can be that 620 sell. That can be your 2-hour divergence for the daily pullback. So that's something that I'm paying heavy attention to right now. So I hope you're aware of that. But I also think that as we're heading into we already actually did, we got into that quad witching OpEx. You're at the end of a quarter. You're at the end of a month. You're going into July. They're supposedly, normally with seasonality, you see a boom in July. But let's take into consideration seasonality right now. So if you weren't aware, seasonality, let's say this is July, a lot of seasonality will look like this for July, just straight up. But what followed that is normally something like this. Do we have that right now? No. So we can contradict seasonality. I'm not suggesting we have to, but we just explained how this market continues. You either keep squeezing to raise the floor now, but eventually you'll get a daily pullback regardless. Or you see that pull back and then you explode through to raise that floor again to pull back into lower levels. That's how this overall works. Let's go over to the Qs and talk about that for a second, because that's outside of a weekly expected move. And it's in the similar area of like, hey, what can we form here? We can go up. Look at the futures right now. They are overall doing what? Going up to that upward level. Right? They're potentially making that little 30-minute divergence we were talking about in the YouTube video actually right now. Okay? So very, very cool. And we actually have some very cool looks out there as far as weekly expected moves for this week for the individual stocks. So just stick with us here for a moment. I know I'm taking my time with this, but the most probable thing is we need to look for reversal signals. People are starting to get mega bullish, right? People are getting so bullish that it doesn't make sense. It never makes sense to say the statement of buy no matter what. I mean, unless you see the Qs like down to here, there's no buy no matter what. There's no invest no matter what. If you're going to invest no matter what, you better be getting a good price. This is a new all-time high, and you're saying invest no matter what. Kind of tells you about the sentiment of the market just a little bit more. Well, I want to add these, Nels. I want to add these to the Patreon. I couldn't get the private stream to work, so everyone's getting it. This is going to be awesome. After some Janet yelling. So still, you're looking for similar things, right? Do we get a 2-hour pullback? If you want the move to continue, which I think some people do, then you need to keep continuing, or you need to pull back and keep doing what you're doing. What you need to see to continue is to keep seeing what you've been seeing for the last few months. That's a hard statement to say out loud. That is a tongue twister. You want to keep doing positive things. Keep doing positive things. Keep doing positive things, and you can keep positivity. But the second that you start giving reversals to get rid of those positive things, that's when you start to head the other direction. And that's all we're overall stating there. Let's go look at IWM. IWM, if you really look at this, does that not look like a 2-hour divergence right now? Could IWM reverse down from here? And that 2-hour divergence would then go negative, doing what? Potentially taking out the zone and needing to go to the next one. Bam, needing to go to the next one, bam. And I think that IWM could head as low as down in these type of areas. So I'm looking at this area right here towards something like 200. I would say 199.22 if you want to be exact. But for now, if we wanted to extend the move, would it be crazy to say that IWM could pull back with the, as you can see at the top here, a nice 30-minute divergence? And we'll check that RSI. It looks a little close there. It looks like it's higher up, so we can extend the move again if we'd really like to. But it would be really nice to see some obvious reversal signals here as this is extended across. So what we want to see here is, do we create the lower high, left head, right shoulder, or do we see this pull back and able to curl up into positive territory one more time to potentially see some kind of failure here? And we'll need to update our monthly expected moves at that point. But for now, you have 30-minute divergence on the MACD, not on the RSI as well. So look for that to continue until things reverse down, until we really lose that low. DIA scaled up dramatically, and why I would consider the fact that IWM could continue the move is because even though IWM does show some form of divergence down there on your MACD, everything else is suggesting that you pull back to a weekly expected move downside, then you're able to curl up, then you could see something a little bit worse. So you would need a period of time here where you're pulling back on the MACD to get by that center line, to curl up, to create the potential divergence point by the 9th. I think the 9th actually times out well here. How do we extend the time? We see further squeezing. We see further squeezing on the second push to violate divergence at this point. TLT, I know a lot of people are wondering about rates. For now, you do still have those 2-hour divergences. You can reverse down. Here's your level, 85.77. Hopefully you are logged into Patreon. But if you're not part of Patreon, this is your chance to get weekly expected moves. We'll give it to you for free this time. But if you don't see this video, you're missing out. So this will be locked down to Patreon members only on the Sunday prep from July forward. Very, very good, though. Still very positive on your MACD. Still pretty good area for your RSI. I wouldn't say seriously risky, but overall, you're like, hey, if the daily crosses down, is that a bad thing? Yeah, you would have to say that's a bad thing, and you're most likely going to test down into these levels towards $85. You will most likely test down into the brink of this area to be able to curl to the upside. I think we're going to see interesting things from TLT. I don't know the exact direction yet. I think it's kind of wonky at this point, but you have forms of divergence suggesting a daily could cross down to get what? A higher low. If this wants to take off as it just went positive, we would still be looking for a drop to create the structure for TLT. Apple, I think Apple is one of the harder reads out there. I know people like to trade it. I really like to trade Apple, but for Apple, you're just rejecting from the center here too much. And this really could roll at any time to end up testing these lows. The reason that Apple is at risk of testing lows still, whereas the market is not, is just because it's so tied to China and other things. So just be aware of that as it stands. I don't think there's any obvious setup for Apple. That's why we're not going to take too much time on it. Now, Tesla, very, very interesting. Tesla, we think this is ping-ponging between two zones. I guess if you want me to draw it up for you real quick, I'm perfectly fine with that. I believe this is the bottom side zone right here. So you don't necessarily want to lose this. And you don't, well, I guess if you're bullish, you really want to take this back, right? So how we're treating this right now is ping pong. And you notice what is suggesting we ping pong this week as well. The weekly expected moves, notice where they are. They're at the bottom side of this, or the top side of this zone, the right in the middle area. So the very likely thing for Tesla this week is to make some kind of upward move that fails at some point in these sellers. So we will be very, very aware of that. That's really all there is as of right now with Tesla. Now, the reason that we're looking for that is because there is a 30-minute divergence on your MACD, not the best on your RSI at the same time. Sorry, guys, I'm going to try to get through these names pretty quickly here. Mega Squeeze Monday is how we raise the timeline, how we go up into, say, July expiration, meaning we buy another week. So we'll see if that's going to happen. We can still make reversal signals even if we go up on Monday by July 9th. Amazon has really broken through from the monthly expected move. It says it's risky, but what if it sees something crazy? Where would it want to get to if it's going to see something crazy? Say I'm still holding on to a few contracts. Yeah, maybe I took profit at the monthly expected move, but I have some runners. Well, the best case scenario for this week is you get to 231.20. I think that's going to be very difficult to get to. I think that this will be very interesting to see how Amazon opens up. I'm pretty sure when I looked at this, I think it was down a tiny, tiny bit, but maybe not. Just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit there. 2 hour. completely wiping out the divergences. So it's very likely to need to do what? Make new ones, right? We might just continue the move, elevate that, and go into that Friday, or even take this all the way into July expiration. We'll go look at the future soon, but we know that Amazon is a risky one, and so is Nvidia. But look, the big thing to take away from this video, if you are watching, and thank you so much for showing up and liking and all that, I really do appreciate it. We'll go look at futures in a moment, but thank you guys for showing up today, because you get some extra info, and you didn't know that by showing up to this video right now, you're going to get all the weekly expected moves if you really pay attention and you take your time and go through it. You can get weekly expected moves this week, and if you see a setup, that's awesome. Hey, congratulations. This is what we do on Patreon all the time. Yeah, I would just say you're lucky that the private stream wasn't really functioning. But we do see here something very interesting. Now we're getting into the stocks. Now we're seeing the interesting stuff, right, Chris? So make sure you go back through if you wanted to. But 150.40 for the monthly expected move. Look where the weekly expected move is, 150.59. What do we know about the monthly expected moves? We can use them as support when we break through them, right? If you start to break through them and you don't see immediate reversal or see a reversal signal right away or something like that, these actually can start to roll call positions higher, right, for the month, because it's unexpected. So they roll those to try to catch the further unexpected move. Now we only have 1 day left. So wouldn't it be interesting to use this as support to then head higher? And then we actually see something bad maybe in a couple of weeks. Like, that would be very interesting. So I would keep my eye on a look like this for Nvidia. Nvidia needs a daily pullback. And as it stands, Nvidia is not very likely to come down to 115. It is more likely to try to hold up somewhere around 131 to 133, in my opinion, for the daily pullback. We'll see. It is creating daily divergences on your MACD, not on your RSI at the same time. But the big thing to take away from this video is moves can continue. This is not, we are not seeing major topping signals from a lot of different areas like we did at the beginning of the year. So we have to understand that this can come down at any point, but also the fact that this can continue for even longer than you expect right now. Right now, the timing is what we've bought enough time for based on structure is Nvidia has bought itself enough time to go up into July 9th. If we see a difference, if we don't see divergence confirming, if we don't see any weakness, then we shouldn't really expect weakness, right, from something like Nvidia. So that would mean if Nvidia does get a pullback, you want this thing to pop off in the beginning of July to raise that floor to get to a potential monthly expected move. And then we can talk about daily pulling back to an even higher area. But you know what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards some kind of reversal by July 9th at this point until things change. I do not have any money risked, just so you are aware. AMD, you're in a very similar scenario here. You have gotten an okay confirmation. I would say a good confirmation. You would suggest that. But if you really pay attention to this, you look at a 30-minute chart, you go, hey, all that has to do is go like this, and we're up at a weekly expected move. So the 2-hour chart here, if that wants to pull back, I still see that as most probable. But you notice we would most likely catch ourselves at 135.84 and do what? Turn to the upside. Because of the weekly expected move, this would mean that if we're going to break down, you probably have to see something aggressive that then comes up by the end of the week and then rejects the next week after we get new updated weekly expected moves. So AMD is very likely to continue the move if we can hold price very well, and Meta is in the same scenario. Now, Meta is a little bit different. If you look at, say, daily charts, you're seeing daily divergence. If you look at 4-hour charts, you're seeing triple divergence on the 4-hour. So if this 4-hour confirms for Meta, I would take it into heavy consideration that we could see counter moves, but it's probably going to break down after the 4th of July. That would mean that the 2-hour kind of behaves like this. Then we get some kind of bounce. Then we actually see that reject down again. So I'm more leaning towards some kind of trap in the near price action for Meta. But you notice we're outside a monthly move. So if we wanted to like flash down to here, then go up, that still would make a lot of sense. Still positive, but getting closer and closer to that center line as we try to wipe out divergence now. So Meta is risky at this point. If it wants to extend here, right, if we want to extend and keep going up in July, we can just raise that floor in the daily pullback. And damn, I'm going to have to be real patient when that's happening or hop into a trade at that point if we decide to continue the move. But I'm not leaning towards it at this point. Meta, the other area you would watch for is somewhere around 642 for now. Microsoft creating those daily divergences with the squeeze behavior, meaning it can pull back. Now, where could it pull back to? Well, we really want to look for these type of highs to just see like, hey, can we turn something into support? And so I really like this area of 455 or gap fill at 450. That is very nice for Microsoft. As you look at the 2-hour chart, though, you go, hey, do we have divergences here? You do have those divergences, but we would like to see them very clearly in order to actually take a trade. A lot of the time when I talk about stocks, I am talking about stocks in the theory of I am looking for the trade setup. The trade setup here would be we see something aggressive, we actually see a counter move, and then we actually flop that later on. Or we're able to pull down and hold at the monthly and weekly move, use it as support to go higher, and then we could potentially see something bad in the future going into July 9th. So Microsoft giving you that same scenario of like, hey, I can't continue the move, so watch me. Now, Google is a different kind of stock right now because Google is trying to go up while everything else kind of goes down. So this will be a very interesting time for Google. Is Google going to be able to hold up better? And that is something that you could talk about with general markets, right? When you look at 2-hour pullbacks, a lot of them aren't like just straight down, right? A lot of them can be like sideways for a moment, down and then up, right? So we'll be watching for that. But for something like Google, you're looking at a 30-minute chart, you're seeing that it's trying to continue, but look how it's overbought already. So you really want it to peek its head above here, and it seems to have tested that exact level. So if we can pull down in some way and curl back up, that would be the best case scenario for Google at this point. If we look at something like AMC, the memers out there, we just need a daily to cross up. The recipe for success here is a daily confirmed in positive territory. Hey, that would be nice. The 2-hour confirmed in positive territory, it's confirmed, but it's still negative, so not necessarily the recipe for success. And you would like to see a 30-minute confirmed in positive territory as well. So the only thing you have going for you right now is the 30-minute is going to try to go to the upside. Now, you need that to take back critical levels. That will be very important. But the biggest thing is just keep the 5 and keep that positive trend and start to head to the upside. This is a very good thing, but the 30-minute can be overbought, so you really want this to extend for AMC. You don't want to see a roll here, or else you could end up at the bottom side towards 285. GME on the 2 hours, still not the happiest with this. Looks like it could roll at any point. I would say same thing for AMC, by the way. If AMC rolls on the 2 hour, it does not look good. Look for 2-hour divergence at that point. You're still looking at that for right now with GME. You're looking for the daily to curl up and go positive, and you notice it's a different story with GME, kind of negative here. And you notice the last time that we turned up by going negative, what did we have to create? Divergences. We're below those points right now, so there is the opportunity to make a potential divergence. As we broke through all this, you can use that as resistance to head lower, and then maybe we need to see a divergence before that earnings pops up. If we go over to DJT, this one as well, still in that sketchy boat of like, can the daily curl up? You are getting forms of 2-hour divergence at this point, so pay attention because this is saying the daily could cross up soon, and we could see some kind of counter move. Hopefully that move does take you above the point of about 2250 to curl down and give you the good structure to head higher. That is something that we will look for from DJT. I'm not the biggest in this, I'm not the biggest, but I am noticing some crazy good divergences for DJT to at least see a 2-hour move to where, right? This week, what would we expect? What would be logical to think about? If a 30-minute can confirm here, then I think the 2 hour is very likely to get up to this type of level. And we can see that this is exactly what the 30-minute would want to do to then pull down, to then curl up, right? We can see, if my mouse doesn't mess up, we can see the left, we can see the head, we could see the potential for a right shoulder would be very interesting for DJT. Once again, I just make these videos to point out some good ideas while looking at stocks. I hope you're able to pay attention because SoFi does not look like it wants to stop. It looks like it wants to continue on even the 30-minute right now. So SoFi is definitely squeezing. It can get a 2-hour pullback at any time, but that just might be the next opportunity to do what? Well, the last one was to head higher, so pay attention. But if we start to break down aggressively, that's when we would watch pretty closely there. Can you cover Google? I was thinking of buying a call option with expiration date 7/18. we can look at Google a second time in a moment. And thank you so much for the $4.99. Okay, Shane, I will get it for you in a moment. We'll go deeper into Google. Now, Palantir, you know, this is the trade setup that we showed for Patreon members. You know that this is what we posted. Now, we weren't the most in depth with it because I was doing it pretty quickly. I think I did it live and I was just like, hey, there is a golden setup here. That means that there is a lot of weakness and momentum and there's multiple ways to execute a trade. Hopefully, if you were able to execute on this trade and you did it properly, you should be well within the money at this point. And I even suggested like, hey, this is a very quick move, very fast. You got 9% move down as of this moment. In one day. So that is, if I see something crazy like that, guys, I like to take profit. I really like to take profit when the value is there. Okay. Oh. All right. So Palantir, what you're looking for here, how the trade goes wrong, and you're very likely to see reactions up, by the way. I believe even in the futures, yeah, I believe it was trying to get a reaction up. But overall, you have a lot of sellers. Okay, so to go back to positive, you're going to need buyers to step up in a big way. And from this standpoint, if we look at weekly expected move, let's do it this way. Let's just really pay attention to weekly expected move and see how the stock would like to break up, break down, do whatever it's got to do. If we go to the downside weekly expected move, what's the logical way that this would break down? Well, we would potentially break that low, cross back to the upside, and then see that roll for the 2 hour, creating that left head, right shoulder. Okay, so that's something clear to pay attention to utilizing weekly expected move. If we're going to head to the upside, what do we see on the 30-minute? It is extremely negative. So if we get some kind of upside move into this area towards 142.63, you're right in the bulk of those first sellers, man. So this can be a right shoulder that could have been as well. Left head, make that right shoulder. This could be very, very interesting for Palantir. And this is why I like to take profit on big moves down, because they do get dead cat bounces that rotate down again. And now you have a very clear area of 142.63 to pay attention. If the 30-minute can roll up to this area and roll down, I'm more leaning towards this, weirdly enough. We'll see if that's able to take place, but maybe we're able to roll up, roll down, see something like this. I don't know how this will play out, but overall, the trade itself is just fantastic. And me at this point, I would have already made money off it. I wish I took it. I'm in my notes to stay patient, though. Unlucky. 30-minute divergence for GLD. This means you are very likely to see a 2 hour reaction up to where 308.16, the perfect area to reject. Even if you go higher than that, you could be making some kind of right shoulder that could have been. And this is very, very likely to reject at this point. You have lost dramatic lows, dramatic lows, dramatic lows. So we'll be watching this very, very carefully. GLD on the daily scale curling down with potential divergences across the way, so just be aware that there can be some weakness. AVGO, I wish we left our drawings up. Yeah, we were off by a few days. We went sideways for a few days, but overall, now we're doing the thing, creating the daily divergence. So AVGO looks like it's toasted. It can still leave it for a little bit of time, but AVGO, pretty damn toasted at this point. If you really do confirm a daily chart here, it really looks like you're at least dipping down into 228, if not all the way back down into 202 for the time being. So I don't think we get all the way down here. I think it'll be pretty quick. I think it would be pretty quick down to this type of area towards like 230. 230. I would say gap fill at like 228 level would be interesting, but daily divergence here. Can this continue the move for a bit of time? Yes. You do not necessarily have very clear signals. You see it across, but there's some blips in there. So it's very likely to see what? Maybe 2 hour pullback early on that then curls up, right? Landing in the monthly expected move, making new ones, and then we're able to see that reverse back down later on. So we will be watching it very carefully. JP Morgan is in the risky area as well. This is why I'm okay with doing this on public right now, so you guys can see the monthly expected moves, right? This channel is here to be helpful, and it's overall showing you like, hey, for the month of June, you saw something crazy. Yes, we can continue to see something crazy in July, but it's very likely to get a daily pullback in the near future. And JP Morgan is extremely high up, right? So if we wanted to take the percentages and just utilize our moves right now, we would say, oh, what if we head down, then we curl back up, then we head down again, right? That would still be what we're looking for in this area, or some kind of Harry Potter to the downside. Very nice to get through most of the moves. Now I wanted to just cover volatility that had a ton of 30-minute divergence, and we finally got some kind of 2-hour reaction. It doesn't mean that we can't get further downside or upside for the market, but right now it is curling down on the 30-minute. It's trying to, so we'll see how this opens up. It opens up at like 2 a.m. my time. I still think we have the opportunity to see a counter trend 2-hour move that goes up, and then we actually see what? Maybe us start to pull down, and then we get a 2-hour divergence. The reason why I'm looking for a 2-hour divergence or a 2-hour lower, higher low here would just be because the daily scale does have divergence. Now, this has crossed down. This means further squeezing is definitely possible, and that's why I think people are probably bringing up futures. Squeezing is still very possible here. This is why I'm not necessarily shorting the move. If I thought that this was obvious and we were going to crash down, I would short the move right now. I'm trying to get with the timing of it a little bit better for my first time trying to call some kind of top. So for now, unless the daily is starting to whip back up, I'm not expecting dramatic volatility. The 2-hour, if the 2-hour is not showing a higher low or a divergence, I'm not expecting big volatility, and I wanted to make sure that my community was aware of it. All right, guys, let's go back into the SPY. I'm going to read through chat just a little bit. Actually, let's go back over to Google for a minute. Can you cover Google? I was thinking of buying a call option with an expiration date of 7/18. Something that I would really look for here. We trade too differently. So asking me a direct question like that, Shane, I get it. It's very nice for you to put it that way. It gives me more information, but we still look at things very differently. I don't know if you're someone who likes to hold into expiration, or are you just looking for a little 2-hour move? Like, what's the deal here? The best I can do for Google at this point is say, if you are looking for a trade to the upside, then you probably want that 30-minute to pull back better than this. You've already gone a little bit overbought here. This isn't necessarily like, oh, yay, an opportunity right now. As far as the 30-minute goes, if I wanted to catch the little 30-minute move. The 2-hour, you could argue, went positive, and there's still a 2-hour trade to be had, but there's so much risk of a little 30-minute pullback that I would say I would just be more inclined to pay attention to, does the 30-minute pull back in some way? Do we extend the move, pull it back, and then are we able to curl up into positive territory again, right? In this scenario, I'm going to follow what I'm looking for from the market at this point, which right now I'm looking for some kind of pullback early on in the week. So I'm not necessarily someone who's going to sit there and go, oh yeah, I think Google will outperform everything. That will be something difficult at this point. So I'm not necessarily thinking that Google will be an easy to execute trade here. Right? I don't think it would be easy. I think the easier trade for something like Google were probably times down in here where you have 30-minute divergence for these pops, you have 30-minute divergence for the drop, and you potentially even have 30-minute divergence for the pop. If you want to see obvious plays, you go look at these type of areas and you see what? You see, okay, divergence right here. Oh, divergence. Okay, big upside move for 2 pushes. Then we get divergence at the top. You're not necessarily seeing that right now, so it's not the most obvious which way it wants to reject from. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be a swing trader above the 5. I'm going to look for those reactions down where we get to the 5 and see if we curl back up. And that's the best I would say at this point. So I know it's probably not like the exact thing you want to hear. You're saying, I want to take position right now. But I'm saying, is it imperative to take position right now, or can you wait for a little bit more clarity a day or two into the week? And that's how I would overall phrase it at this point. Ed's going for Palantir, saying, hey, it'll be a good swing. Let's go. And I think that's perfectly fine to say. It's perfectly justifiable, but you're going to need this 2-hour to whip around. That is not something you see for a swing trade. I can tell you that right now. Not yet. Not yet. Right? We've seen moments like this that turn into this, but you still need it to start to turn into it to have some confidence, right? I think at this point, if I'm just looking at this bar for Palantir, I'm guessing, right? I think you're very likely to do like this, but as of right now, if I think this is going to happen, I think I'm guessing at that point. I don't think you have enough data for that. You don't have 30-minute divergence, a 30-minute higher low. You have no sign that this is reversing the trend back to the upside on the 30-minute yet. So how are you going to turn the 2-hour up? Now, that can change by midweek and we can pay attention to it, but it just says we need things to change by midweek. There's potentially not a setup right now. as we're extremely oversold, you can go more over. You can see crazy things here. But, people fade these moves all the time. People fade these moves all the time, right? Super downward move by 10%. Gets a 3%, 4% reaction to the upside, you make some money. Like, I get it. Execute your strategy. So I wish you nothing but luck. I have nothing against you taking a position in either way. I'm just giving my input on those type of things, okay? 137. Yeah, I saw it at like 134 at the close, or like after the close. So after this, like right after, it just went like that. But that's not enough to bring it back yet. But 137, you're already getting towards 142. So it looks like the likely scenario of like up into down could be the most likely. If you're going to see further upside, let's talk about that. You need to take back the high in some way, right? So taking this back is a good thing. You want to keep that positive trend. So it's pretty much like, is the 2 hour going to roll here, or is the 30-minute going to make a higher low? That's going to be very interesting, but still, can we appreciate, hey, great freaking trade. People were talking about this stock a lot throughout the week. Is it going to bounce? Maybe. There's not a ton of data on this. I would just say the daily overall is probably positive. There's just not a lot of data on this. So if the 2 hour can cross up, you might have a 2 hour swing trade to the upside. You have 30-minute divergence on MACD. It's just very flat. So if you wanted the better scenario, when to know, like, hey, is this going to go up and test 260? Right? That's probably what you're wondering. Hey, how do I know if this is going to have a high probability to test 260? Because it's down at 180. Well, I would actually just sit back and relax and see if we make a new high here. Because what's going to happen is this is going to come down, then it'll rotate up, and then we'll go like this. All right, that 5-day will start to rotate back up. And what you'll see is a 30-minute pullback here that then curls up into positive territory, creating left head, right shoulder. So until that happens, I think the trade is over here, not necessarily right here, right now, in my opinion. That's my opinion, right? So, if you're seeing things differently, let me know. I'm perfectly open to other scenarios. I'm not someone who thinks like, oh, my thesis is the overall underlying thesis always. All right. Daily pullback, do you mean pullback in one day? So when I say daily pullback, yeah, this is to clear it up as well. When I say daily pullback, that means we are going to pull back on the daily scale. So when I talk about a pullback on, say, like a 30-minute, that usually means 1 day. A 2 hour, that usually means a few days. A daily, though, means it's going to take days to pull back. AKA, we have seen this go up, and we are going to see a moment where we lose a low, people freak out, and then we end up just curling back to the upside, and it's not as bad as people think. That's a daily pullback. A daily pullback is like a daily retracement, if you want to use another word. I know that I use terminology that's comfortable to me, so I'm perfectly fine with questions like that. Thank you for asking. This is 1998. It is possible that you are seeing one of those moments, Jomo. So I'm not, once again, and this is the benefit of me not risking money right now. I can agree with a lot of opinions, but what's important is, what do we see over the next week? All right, that's the important part. What do we see over the next week is way more important than my guess right now. There's multiple things that we could do here, right? So Jomo thinks that this is potentially what is going to go on here, right? We're scaling up, or we're going to like pull back and scale up to raise that floor and continue this move until like September. I think that's what Jomo's overall pointing out. That is a very heavy possibility, or at least continuing in July. Those are definite possibilities. So keeping those on your radar are good. Understanding that, hey, there is a 2 hour pullback. Oh, we didn't get 2 hour divergence, so the next one should be an easy to execute higher high type of play. That's not going to bug me. But until I see that, I don't personally, right? Everyone assumes different kinds of risk. I personally am not choosing to assume risk until I see that this market wants to remain irrational at these new all-time highs. Yeah, I don't disagree with you in any way. Yeah. It's like why I did this, right? We traded here, I traded here, I traded here, I traded here, but I chose not to do it here. even with the 30-minute divergence, right? Even with the 30-minute divergences, I still was just like, nope, I don't, just in case, I don't want to do it. We're getting too close. And we haven't seen the actual daily pullback, meaning for a few days. Like for, actually, it's probably like a week and a half, couple weeks. How can it be so high without Apple? There's a lot of things that could make the spot. Actually, the better question you should ask, can't get right, would be the Qs, right? You would say the Qs. How do the Qs not do it without Apple? That's, I think, the better question. Thank you for doing a stream. Hey, I appreciate you, Will. I appreciate you, buddy, coming in today. But yeah, don't worry about it. This week we're doing it for the public stream. Once I can get the private thing fully figured out, we're going to switch to private. So if you guys want to join Patreon, do your thing. If you don't want to join, that's perfectly fine. I think you can get a lot of good information, considering I make a bunch of YouTube videos. It's been a great time, guys. I've really enjoyed this community a lot. And it actually gives me a place to put my ideas. I actually watch my own videos sometimes just to refresh, like, hey, what am I thinking? Did I write a note for that? So I'll probably look at this one again just to see what I'm paying attention to. But we are very happy to have you. So as far as this stuff goes, when it comes to Apple, by the way, it's a very hard read right now. Overall, you're like in the area where you're rejecting, but at the same time, you're coiling up. So it's like, what are we doing here? Oh, we made a lower low. So right now, your percentages, your price action, everything like that would say this is going to head down because we have the lower high. But what did it do? It didn't make the lower low. So all that has to happen here to go to like 206 is the 30-minute curls up, and we continue that move for a bit of time. And then during this time, we could see any time in here, we could see squeeze, raise the floor, right? And then we continue further, right? If the signals aren't there, then it's not likely to reverse. This is something that you can do very simply by, say, hindsight trading in some way. Oh, okay, let me look. Every single time that we curl down on the daily scale, we have some form of daily divergence. Okay, then I should pay attention for daily divergence. What do we have right now? Daily divergence. It's a big cross down. I think we could get rid of those divergences. I think that's perfectly fine, but I still think we get a daily pullback. That's just my inclination as of right now, and I'm moving my money how my inclination is, where I'm the most comfortable. What's more likely to happen this week, 605 or 620? I would say with the look that you have right now, as far as how it stands and futures doing what futures are doing, trying to head to that upside move to give us that little divergence. As of right now, this would be very contradictory, and I don't have the right levels up yet. I haven't fixed this for the SPX 500. If you want to, we can do this real quick. Let me do this for you. SPX. See, this is 6206.36. You can see we're almost a daily expected move already. And what are we doing? We're holding the divergence point. If you wanted to extend out to an hourly, I think that's fine here. Like move the chart down a little bit. But overall, 2 hours is what I equate to a 30-minute for the SPY. And so this means that we are very likely to do what? We're very likely to get a 4-hour pullback. So as of right now, early on this week, like in the first day, like if you're talking about Monday, Tuesday, I think it is more likely to get to 605 than it is likely to get to well, you said 620. See how you said 620. So we could easily open up in this type of area tomorrow, right? If we take into consideration our daily expected moves, who's to say this 30-minute doesn't climb up to here for a moment, tag 620 and come down? So that's very possible, right? It's not necessarily like the phrasing of the question is interesting because it's like, what time are we looking at? Are you just saying which one do we hit first? Well, we could easily just go like this and hit it. But right now, the more probable thing from your RSI, from futures as of now and things like that, is that you are going to 2-hour pullback. And that's not a bad area to get to. If you really wanted to consider this, like if we really wanted to say, okay, where's the SPY going? Well, we would potentially do what? We would make that zone from the last consolidation and mark off that low. So you mark off the resistances you need to break through and mark off the low you don't want to lose. And then what do you notice? Well, if we came down and just barely beat that weekly expected move, where would we be? We'd be right in the top side of the zone. What do you do to these zones? If you want to use it to go higher, you touch in the top side. You can come all the way down to here. It's perfectly fine. You can still head up. But we could easily do this with our weekly expected move and then cross up. This seems way more probable to me. Am I betting money behind it? I want to be very clear about that, because if it was that obvious and this was easily going to do this in 2 days, I would short it. I don't think it's that. I think you still have the probability that this could squeeze higher and raise the floor. So I'm not willing to play it, but I am willing to play this. I am willing to play that and take a chance on that with my little hedge-like position, right? We can talk about that when the time does come. That time is not here as of right now. So we have a bunch of zones that can hold us up here, and the 2-hour pullback seems to be the most probable. So from the information I have right now, I would say, I'll put it this way. I won't do 620. I won't say 620 because that's in the middle of the range, and we could just hit that on Monday and fall down. So that could be, but overall, I'd say, what's the more likely weekly expected move to get to this week? The downside one, in my opinion. Not saying it has to be some kind of mega crash, right? That's not what the videos over this weekend were. The videos over this weekend were to warn you that this could continue. And then we could see something bad that people will call a crash, but it's not actually a crash. 499 Shane, thank you so much. Put on 0 DT on Google. Would you wait a few days, then buy a call option? Weird question, but I need to know. So for me, if you just said me, would you? I don't do 0 DTE, but I don't even know Google. I don't even know if you can do 0 DTE, but as far as Google goes, and let's bring it back to these charts so you can see those moves. As far as Google goes, the better opportunity would still be probably off a pullback from this type of look, right? If I traded this, if I was wanting to trade a pullback, I would really hope to be in this big ass 2.5% bar, right? So if you really consider what's going on here, if you pull it out to a 2-hour, right? How high up have you gone since we've created some kind of low? Well, technically to the wick, we've gone up, what, 9.18%, let's say, all the way to where we're at right now. That's kind of an aggressive move, right? I would have loved to be in that at the lows, not necessarily the highs at this point. It was a very difficult one to get in unless you were paying attention to some brief little thing right here. Very, very difficult. Or if you're looking for the pullback to say like fair values and things like that, okay, price action people might have got this right. But for now, you're going, what could happen here? Well, we still would want to see a 2-hour higher low for the next trade. All right, so the moment you're in right now is kind of like this one, and it can continue for a while, move sideways, continue for a while, but eventually you're going to see a very simple thing happen. And then you're going to see it by the center line, and these are the more important times to make a decision. And here, it's kind of good to be like, hey, I'm confused. Hey, I'm this, hey, I'm that, because being confused should not be part of your strategy. But you know what's not confusing? This right here. That says just a controlled pullback, 2-hour crosses to the upside, and that would be fantastic. So that's what I would overall be looking for. I think this was too aggressive to think like, oh yeah, this is all jolly, but I think a 2-hour higher low would be very, very nice here for Google. And it would be very good for risk, because if the 2-hour is able to roll here, you don't want to be in it if it's going down to here. Right? We want to be like, okay, the 2 hours rolling. All right, we're waiting. 2-hour confirms back up. Oh, okay, where are we getting to? Where's that monthly expected move? Oh, monthly moves here. Okay, so we're going to go from right here to here, and that's my trade, and that could take 3 weeks to happen. So that's how I would really look at it. As far as it goes, 0 DTE, that's just money too fast for me, in my opinion. What I like to do is when people say 0 DTE, I just let them know, like, I don't do anything 0 DTE. I don't do anything 1 week option. I always buy at least 2 weeks, because that will save me in the management of a trade. Yeah. So thank you so much for the $4.99, Shane. I really appreciate it. I want to make sure that like at least answered your question in some way. I don't want to put your hard-earned money and not answer the question for you, but I just wanted to tell you my mentality towards Google and see if that put you in a better spot, like mentally. Thanks for your hard work. Can't get right. Thank you so much for the $5 as well. Hey, thank you guys for giving back to the community today. I really appreciate that. We will go for another about 10 more minutes here. So you got 10 minutes, and then we're going to hop off. Individual tickers on Friday. Those big green bars at the end of the day are likely window dressing for fund managers. That is one thing that a lot of people don't consider. Everyone is nitpicking data. So as of right now from YouTube, because I did go ahead and watch some YouTubers that I do not trust, I like to do that. I think it is fun. What YouTubers are saying is this is bad, this is good. And you have 1, 2, 3 bad things, you have 1, 2, 3 good things. Now, what's happening is all of the YouTubers are forgetting about this, and they're only focusing on this for one reason. We broke to a new all-time high. That's all it took. This is why we talk about you look for things to actually reverse down. And if people are expecting a reversal down, you kind of go, oh, okay, we'll look for it to be irrational. But the mentality here is all of them are focusing on good, 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 which means they might be ignoring the bad, bad, bad. This means that if we drew up our bell curve, right, where are people at as far as at least they tell us on YouTube, right? Where are they? Well, as of right now, stocks got to where? Stocks are here, and now YouTubers out there are here. Where am I? Where am I? Still right here. I'm this guy. Yeah, oh, we got to here. I'm selling it. All right, now I'm back to the middle. Oh, okay, stocks pull down to a weekly expected move. All these guys, what do they do? Ah! What do we do? Oh, weekly expected move. Are we curling up? What are we doing? We curling up? Did we break the low? Do we need a higher low? What do we need? Right? Okay. Oh, crash moment, right? Crash moment. Oh, we go down to July's monthly expected move. See a reversal signal. What do? Everyone goes, wah! And we go, yeah, cool. It's probably going to go up now, right? That's all we're doing. Now, it works most of the time, too. It literally works like, I would say like 90% of the time like that. Knew I had to be more patient. That's right, Bernie. That's right. And you guys who have been around here longer than some others probably understand the risk of monthly and weekly expected moves more. If you want me to show you one, we can show you the last time we were outside of a monthly expected move for a stock that's right now outside of a monthly move. Do you know what happened? This, and we even said to watch it. And remember, I was greedy. I was looking for that 30-minute divergence. We have like a similar scenario right now. So you do have the potential to do something like this and just see a curl down. Now, I don't think it'll be this aggressive and that extended, but this is the last time Meta was outside of a monthly expected move to the upside. The last time it was outside of a monthly expected move to the downside was right here. And what do we see? Bam, 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 bam. Oh, wait a second. Is that 2-hour divergence? Wow, we could have been in Meta. Holy crap. It's almost like we talked about it. Should we go look at the video? Should I go pull up the video from April 21st? Yeah, it's a great guideline. It's not going to get it right all the time, but it is a great guideline to keep you from making silly decisions like doing what? Hey, we just hit a new all-time high. Let me go long, right? That's not something that I'm going to sit here and go, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. No. The point here is, can you consistently buy a new high and make money on calls every single time you're outside of a monthly expected move? The answer to that is no. And that's it, right? You cannot buy a call here. It's just not going to happen. You are going to blow up an account. By taking a call here and saying, we have to do this now, all that has to happen is this, and you're done. It's not a good thing because people will drop premiums so fast in these areas. Volatility will flip so fast, right? If we break this low, that if you just see a move like this, your options are gone up here. I don't care if you buy a month. you're going to lose 80%, right? Because people are super undervaluing what? Put options. How do we know that? Well, we can just go look at volatility and see that it's super deep and say, hey, are people short a month out or are they long a month out? They're long a month out. And that's how we read into that. So guys, we went through a bunch of stocks today. I know that you guys probably want to keep chatting all night. I really, really wish that we could chat all night. I really do, but I got to spend some time with Mama Bear. It's going to be a good time, but I hope that this is in some way helpful. That's the reason that I'm doing this tonight, and to give back to our Patreon community, which these live streams and these videos on Sunday, they're either going to be video format if I don't have a bunch of time, so I can just pump it out there to Patreon, or we're going to do a Sunday prep video in the form of live video, because I know you guys like that a little bit more. But thank you guys, seriously, for coming today. Keep an eye on the futures market, right? The futures can tell you a little bit of what maybe the future and the first step to that process of possibly getting some kind of 2-hour pullback. It's kind of taking place right now in the futures. We'll see how the market opens up in the morning. We do not guess that this is going to tear down when it has curled up. As of right now, this is curled up, meaning more upside makes the most sense till we see it reverse back down. Hope you guys have a great, great night, and we will try to push these streams out, Jonna, to Sunday nights, because I think Sunday night people are chill, people are relaxing at home, and I think it's a good time. Have a great time. Shane, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you. Thank you for the donations today. Really appreciate that. And you are welcome back here anytime, my friend. All right. We are live every single day in the morning for a few hours. So make sure to join us in the morning. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you would like, join that Patreon to get monthly expected moves. If you're someone new, like Shane is suggesting, they just subscribed, hey, that's perfectly fine. You can stick around with the channel for a bit and get monthly expected moves for the SPY and the Qs completely for free, all right? Thank you, guys. Have a fantastic evening. If I could talk. Have a fantastic evening, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.